The Defence Research and Development Organization (DRDO) and the Indian Navy have successfully conducted a maiden flight trial of a sea-based endo-atmospheric interceptor missile off the coast of Odisha in the Bay of Bengal. According to a statement by the Defence Ministry, the purpose of this trial was to engage and neutralize a hostile ballistic missile threat, thereby elevating the country into the elite club of nations having naval ballistic missile defence capability. In fact, India now, along with countries like the US, Russia, Israel, China and others, owns an indigenous ballistic missile interceptor. In this debate, we are going to take a deep dive into this milestone achievement secured by India and what these achievements mean for India's overall defence system. Joining us on the debate is Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, former DG Infantry, Global Strategic Defence Expert, Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha, former Chief of Integrated Defence Staff, Western Command, also with us on the show. Group Captain V.N. Jha, Senior Scientist and a former Joint Director of DRDO, is with us on the program as well. Last but by no means the least, Major General Rajan Kochar, Defence Expert, joining us on the show as well. Thank you, gentlemen, for taking out the time and speaking with NewsX. Group Captain Jha, I'd like to begin with you. In your opinion, sir, what does this mean for India's deterrence? What does this mean for India's Atmanirbharta push? And what does this also mean for India's global stature as a country that can defend itself on its own?
Thank you very much, Vineet, and thank you, NewsX, for taking up the cause of the science as well as the defense science and technology. Yes, it's a huge development, because today so many of the nations are doing their R&D on the ballistic missile system. Recently, we have seen how North Korea is engaged into it. Our neighbors are equally capable of making a dent into the system. So it is very appropriate for the Indian defense agencies to have gone for this ballistic missile defense cover. This missile defense cover is slightly different from the normal air defense that we talk of. When we are talking of the air defense system, it usually means a couple of hundreds of kilometers of threat coming into the light, and then tracking it and destroying it. However, when we are talking about the ballistic missile could be launched from thousands of kilometers away, and it doesn't travel all the times in air. It goes, either vertically up or slightly at the slant up beyond the atmosphere. It travels to the space where our normal radars don't penetrate into that area, and then comes back, makes the re-entry through the atmosphere with its heat shield, and then strikes the target, and leaving a very small time for any nation to strike. So from that perspective, I think we all have missed out a particular development a couple of months back when Navy had launched a ship into which this particular capability was there. And I'm very happy with the coordination of Navy, DRDO, and some more agencies into it. They have developed a particular tracking radar, S-band radar, which has been mounted onto this ship. That is the radar which is giving it eye and tracking system, as well as there are the subsystems which distinguishes between own missile and the enemy missile. So with all those analysis done, it gives the ship a particular capability in which it can track the intruding missile, ballistic missile, from beyond the atmosphere, and then tracks it, and it has got a vertical launching system. Most of these ships, they have vertical launching guns, vertical launching system, or concentrated energies.
Okay.
A concentrated energy, I think DRDO has not yet made it public, but R&D is going on. So all these capabilities are there to detect and then destroy these ballistic missiles. It's a great development. I really compliment both DRDO and Indian Navy to have gone.
Absolutely, sir. And General Kochar, this is something that India has been trying for a long time. It was 2006 in November also that something like this was tried, and obviously there have been trial and errors, and we finally got it right. So this is obviously a great deal because India is a part of not only a club, it's part of a super elite club which can boast of this technology.
Vineet, you're absolutely right. And today there was a void as far as the ballistic missile interception defense was concerned with the armed forces. Because China had this huge array of Dengfeng 41 to be precise, which can penetrate up to 16,000 kilometers. So we didn't have a potent defense system against a ballistic missile, because what happens is it goes into the exosphere and to a re-entry vehicle it comes inside, so it is difficult to detect, and the speed of sound is more than 5 Mach. So this was a void which has been fulfilled. I know it has taken a lot of time. I think this idea germinated in 2000 when the Atal Vajpayee government was there, and then it has taken its own time because of what happens. Technology changes very rapidly. So therefore, these changes had to be brought in by the DRDO, keeping in view the latest technology which was available at that point of time, and new upgradations have actually taken place. So it is a land-based system, also it is a sea-based system. So we have these two systems in place. The Prithvi missile integrated program has been co-opted into it, and we can now achieve an interception up to 5,000 kilometers. And why this is important is that because recently the Pralay missile has been developed and launched by the DRDO, which was an answer. It is going to be our first tactical ballistic missile. So 250 of these missiles are being inducted into Ladakh sector right now. So therefore, after Pralay, this has been a very, very potent development, and my congratulations and compliments to the DRDO as well as to the armed forces who have carried out these trials. And the most important part is that these trials have been successful. Because many times we see that we do trials and we don't succeed. But we have been able to achieve the desired objectives as far as these trials are concerned, and my compliments.
You're absolutely right, sir. Admiral Sinha, being a Navy man, where do you see this development in terms of what India has already achieved in the last decade or so, especially under the current government, this push of Atmanirbharta, and making sure, that we are sending the right kind of message of deterrence to those people who are trying to take India lightly?
Well, thank you, Vineet, for getting me on your program. First, let's look at this. What are we trying to intercept? The ballistic missiles, the trajectory was explained very well by Group Captain Dr. Jha. And therefore, it has to be intercepted. The best time to intercept is when it is launched. But you may or may not be able to pick it up on your system, either thermal imaging or on a radar. Or if you can, then nothing like it. You should have a weapon which can intercept it on the just on the launch phase. But we should be prepared for very worst thing. For example, the missile has been launched, goes out of the atmosphere, and now it is hurtling down towards you. And the speed of the incoming missile can be 15, 16 times more than the speed of sound. So what are we looking at? We're looking at a very, very quick system. Not only over land in India, because we have our interests, our assets even outside India, around the full Indian Ocean, if you like. And therefore it was decided at a particular time, 2010-11, that we must have a sea-based system. The second point is, sea-based system does not mean that it can only protect against a missile which is fired at sea. You can have a situation where your land-based systems could have been hit, and it is quite possible that they have been destroyed. So you require to have what is called the sea-based, as it is called the triad in the nuclear sense. Very similarly, the ballistic missile ability to intercept ballistic missile at sea is extremely important, because the ranges of the missiles are so high that you can fire from overseas from maybe 30 miles, 40 miles, 100 miles, and yet it will be able to intercept ballistic missile which is hurtling towards land. So I think that I am glad they have succeeded. We made the shape, we got the radar. Some of it was spoken by Group Captain Jha, so I will just leave it at that. And the issue on board a ship is that the ship is not a stable platform. It keeps sort of tossing depending upon the mood of the sea, and therefore to have the gyro stabilized or a gimbal stabilized system of both the radar and the launch platform is something which our scientists have overcome. And I think they need to be congratulated. Both the DRDO and Navy, they have been working together, and I am sure that there will be more trials on this. But I am happy that the first one has gone off very well on an electronic simulated target, and it has hit exactly where it was supposed to hit. So I would say that it's a good achievement, and the whole nation should be proud of it.
Absolutely.
Really.
Great points there. General Kulkarni, if you're there with us. General Kulkarni, if you can hear me, sir.
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud
Yeah.
and clear. Well, taking a leaf
yeah.
out of what Admiral Sinha said, that, there were a number of odds pitted against our scientists to overcome hurdles. Of course, the platform from where this is going to be fired from, and of course, the other technical details, which have been eventually overcome. What do you think actually led to this conversion eventually?
Thank you, Vineet. You heard almost all experts speak on the fantastic achievement both by the DRDO and the Indian Navy. What really matters is once you enter into this elite club of the naval-based, I would say, ballistic missile defense system, it's indeed what Admiral Sinha just brought out. It's on a platform which is not very stable. And then to be able to achieve it, I think it's a huge, huge achievement. Besides both, it's an endo-atmospheric and exo-atmospheric. Now, having achieved both endo and exo is a big achievement. Endo means anything up to about 100 kilometers. This has a range up to about 30 kilometers engagement on the sea-based platform. And exo means it's a killer kinetic vehicle. It can take on satellites. Now, we've done that also, exo also, and we've done endo also. Now, the exo may not have any explosive, but the very fact it has a kinetic energy and can take on anything beyond the atmosphere, and now to have both the land-based system and the naval-based system, which can fire into endo-atmospheric, I think it's a huge achievement. Not many countries in the world have that. And besides, of course, now we are planning to have a quasi-ballistic missile system called the Pralay. The Navy has got a submarine-launched missile, Sagarika, from 7,000 to up to K-15 and going right up to K-4, 3,000. So you have all these kinds of systems, BrahMos over there, BrahMos almost having the tied platforms. It can be fired anywhere, a range of almost 290 kilometers. So all these kind of missile systems which are, because until and unless technologically we are a step ahead of our adversaries, it is not going to be there. Because after all, what will deter anyone to have to be able to look at us is this kind of a technology. And once you are into this technology, what with the kind of ballistic missile defense system, be land-based, be sea-based, with the Pralay rocket force coming up, you have the submarine-launched ballistic missiles, you have Prithvis, you have Agnis, you have BrahMos. All this is what will deter. And it is essential, because that's the only way India can find a place amongst the nations where it needs to find. If you're developing economically, if you're strong, only then can you be militarily strong. If you're economically and militarily strong, only then can you have a diplomatic, I would say, be able to stand on your own, because diplomatic is all about having a stick. And that is only if you have economic power and you have the military power. In that context, I think it's fantastic achievement. Both the DRDO and the Indian Navy, the very first missile test, and it's absolute accurate. I don't think you could have asked for more. And what with land-based and now the naval-based system in the endo-atmospheric, we already had exo-atmospheric. Both endo-exo combined, I think we are where we are destined to be. We will be where, because after all, we have to be the third largest economy in the world. We need all systems to ensure our nation is protected, and the territorial integrity and the sovereignty of the nation is always guaranteed. And this is the only way to deter our adversaries, be it China, Pakistan, or anybody for that matter. Yeah.
Absolutely. Great points there, sir. Group Captain Shah obviously also shed some light on the self-reliance that India has mastered in with this development, because let's not kid ourselves, when it comes to highly complex network-centric anti-ballistic missile systems, this is a giant leap for India.
Absolutely, this is a giant leap. And before, this is a series of development that is happening in India in the last few years, in which this Atmanirbhar push is being given in a absolutely focused manner. We haven't seen such a development like inducting so many ships in the last 5 years or 6 years, so many submarines, our own indigenous aircraft carrier. All these are the huge development, and the fact is that this all can be made here in India by Indian scientists, by Indian tradesmen. So it's a huge achievement towards the Atmanirbhar. Earlier, we couldn't dream of taking a first-hand, absolutely brand new aircraft carrier for the Navy, because that would have cost the fortunes, and we couldn't have afforded that. It is this government. Whosoever is heading the government, Modi is absolutely focused towards weaponizing the armed forces to an extent where the adversary will think twice whether to do any damage to us or not. So from that point of view, whether it is Army, it is Navy, it is Air Force, in all three systems, in all three services, including something in the space also, strategic forces, so many new development of the missiles that we have seen after the Galwan thing that has happened. After that, so many new missiles have been developed. Our BrahMos, the workforce for Indian armed forces, it has been augmented with a range from 290 to about 400 kilometers, and many other missile systems. Keep on naming them. All these are there, absolutely giving the Indian population, Indian armed forces, that all these can be made here in India. It is absolutely a great push towards the Atmanirbharta. Our own aircraft, we couldn't have thought of. I was working with the LCA systems, life support systems of the LCA when it was being developed. In 2011-12, after that time, government gave thumbs down that this aircraft cannot fly. All of us, our shoulders have drooped. And I salute this particular government who just started removing the hurdles in the way. And today's LCA we see, this LCA aircraft is Atmanirbhar push, into which it is already 4.5 generation. All the avionics, navigation systems, the weapon systems, everything is of the generation that competes with the Rafale sort of aircraft. So it's a great push that the present government has done, and I salute the government for this Atmanirbhar push, and it is for all, Army, Navy, Air Force, and the missile defense system, the strategic command force that we have. It is a great thing for everyone. In the coming years, India will be one of the force to reckon with in the world. I know China has got many numbers of the ships and things like that. India may not have that much, but what India now is heading towards is a great force, a very, very, what we call in Hindi, Shasakt armed forces. It's that sort of type of momentum that has given to the services. Vinit.
All right. General Kocher, almost towards the end of our bulletin as well. What do you think is next here for India? The Atmanirbharta push, when it started out, seemed to be some sort of remote impossibility. But now with these complex accomplishments, where do you think India goes next from here?
Vineet, we are fast catching up now. The next thing which is coming up is the anti-radiation missile, Rudran-1. Already, it's in a very, very advanced stage of work, and this will also be a trailblazer. And in times to come, we have seen the future warfare is in the space and cyber systems. Because if you take a leaf out of the PLA has a strategic support force and a rocket force. It is now time for India to build up its rocket force and strategic support force. We have already started on, especially the rocket force, this missile as well as the Pralay, as well as the Agni, as well as the Akash and Nag and Prithvi, and you name it. These missiles will form a part of our rocket force and will be integrated in deployment to ensure that our borders are adequately defended. So I feel in the times to come, these development, especially we must thank Dr. Abdul Kalam. We should not forget on this moment because he is also known as the Indian Missile Man or the father of the Indian missiles, especially your Agni and Prithvi program, which he has spearheaded. So it is a tribute to such wonderful people who have been initiating this technology, a demonstrator we have in our country. And I'm sure that we are on the right path. As Group Captain Jha has said that this government means the business. The acquisition procedure 2020 has also been initiated. The strategic partnerships are coming to India. Make in India defense corridors have already been established. And all those equipments which we were not manufacturing earlier, like a rifle of an infantry soldier AK-03 is now being manufactured in India. So these are very good developments, and in the times to come, I think the nation is in safe hands. Vineet.
All right, Admiral Sinha, concluding thoughts from you, sir, and also shed some light on where do we go from here? You know, Atmanirbharta push is at its apex, if we can call it that.
Vineet, the Atmanirbharta will require a little bit of hand-holding from foreign manufacturers because we do not have everything to be produced in a particular time frame. And therefore, collaboration and manufacturing in India together, that might give us a little bit of a leap and frog. Otherwise, it generally takes quite some time. Design, develop, and then research and develop. These are very long processes because our time frames are not so much. We cannot have the luxury. So that is one thing that I want to make a very broad statement. And I think things are already happening. And all those things will depend on the geopolitical situation, India's external relation with countries, and what is happening in the world, in the entire world. So there are many sort of aspects to be taken care of, which the government is doing very, very well, and I think they're doing it better than anybody else right now. Second point, you said, where do we go from here? There are two things which I have been saying on your program as well. We must have the ability to kill the hypersonic missiles because you're talking about speeds into 5 to 6 times more than the speed of sound. And I think there are two very important developments which are required to be gone into. Some work is happening, I know already, but we shouldn't delay it too much. One is a rail gun and one is a laser gun. These are the only two which can continuously illuminate the incoming hypersonic missile and destroy it. Because you cannot have something which is firing 3,000 or 10,000 rounds a minute. It requires no break. It just requires that you just continue eliminating and you burn it. Okay, so that is the one issue that for the Navy that I would really like to see it going. Aerospace, aircraft development, newer aircraft, faster aircraft, etc., etc. We are late. We started late, and I think that now that we have taken off, as Group Captain Jha said, but remember, LCA is only a launch platform. We will require to have aircraft with much more capability. In the grades of maybe Mirage 2000 or maybe Rafale, which will take some time. But that is the aim that we must have, that we must become a leading aircraft manufacturer of the world and a leading weapon manufacturer of the world. Vineet.
All right. General Kulkarni, closing thoughts from you, sir, and then we wrap up.
talking about Atmanirbharta, the Atmanirbharta is not as easy as one seems to think, because capacity building takes a lot of time. Intentions can change overnight. And therefore, the lead is to be really get onto it with absolute gusto the way we are going about it. The DRDO has to move up, so as the private industries to come in and step in, because until and unless technologically we are far ahead of others, if not ahead, at least be able to match up with them, we will find ourselves wanting. Be it in space, be it in cyber, be it in weapon technology, be it in ballistic, and as what we said, even countering the hypersonic missiles with speeds which are 15 to 18 times the speed of sound, everything. You've seen what's going on in Ukraine. Therefore, the need is for Atmanirbharta. The need is felt that there should be jointmanship. The need to understand that this India needs all of it. And therefore, nothing should come in our way, because it's very, very essential, as we keep saying again and again, until and unless the territorial integrity and the sovereignty of the nation is assured, economic development cannot take place. And economic development requires total secure and an environment of peaceful development. And that for which the government has taken the right step. We must compliment anybody and everybody in India should feel proud of the kind of technology development that's taking place, and especially in fields of the ballistic missile defense system. Yeah.
Absolutely. Great points there, sir. And this is a big moment for India. And it's not only time for us to seize this moment, but it's also time for India to proliferate further, push further, propel further all its capabilities, and be self-reliant and Atmanirbhar.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.